Perfect. We are recording and then I will watch the waiting room.
Okay, this open meeting of the Triton Regional School Committee is being conducted remotely, consistent with an act extending certain COVID-19 measures adopted during the state of emergency signed into law by Governor Healy on March 28, 2025, which extends the authorization for state and local public bodies to conduct public meetings in a hybrid or remote format through June 30th, 2027. These provisions suspend the requirement of the open meeting law to have all meetings in a publicly accessible physical location. Further, all members of public bodies are allowed and encouraged to participate remotely. I hereby call to order this meeting of the Triton Regional School Committee on October 8th, 2025 at 7 p.m. I am Linda Lukowski, Chair of the School Committee, and I would like to confirm that all members and persons anticipated on the agenda are present and can hear me. When I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Erin,
I'm here and I can hear you.
Narissa,
I'm here and I can hear you.
Paul Goldner,
I'm here and I can hear you. I'm here and I can hear you.
Paul Mayette,
I'm here and I can hear you.
Kelly,
I'm here and I can hear you.
Caitlin,
I'm here and I can hear you.
Matthew,
I'm here and I can hear.
Foster,
I'm here and I can hear you.
Brian.
Here and I can hear you.
For this meeting, the Triton Regional School Committee is convening remotely via Zoom using the information posted on the district's website identifying how the public may join. If you are personally attending by video conference using your device's camera, please be aware that others may be able to see you. Committee members and administrators, please remember to mute your phone or computer when you are not speaking. All supporting materials that have been provided to members of this body are available on the district's website with the agenda posting unless otherwise noted. The public is encouraged to follow along using the posted agenda. Each vote taken in this meeting will be conducted by a roll call vote. Please note that this meeting is being recorded and that anything that you broadcast may be captured by the recording. I'm going to read our vision statement. We are a community of learners known for our unwavering commitment to meeting the needs of all students. Through the adoption of best practices and our active partnership with families in the wider community, we're united in supporting the development of engaged, successful, responsible, resilient learners. Students will be well prepared to be ethical, empathetic, and contributing citizens. I want to thank all of you for being here tonight and making the change to remote. Do we have anybody from the public?
There is no one in the waiting room. I mean, in the meeting or in the waiting room.
Yes. Okay, I'm going to skip the oral communications from the public. The consent agenda. The consent agenda tonight contains 6 donations and 3 overnight or out-of-school field trip permissions. Thank you to the NES PTA for the $4,000 towards Newberry Elementary 6th grade camp. The Institution for Savings Charitable Foundation for $2,000 toward Newberry Elementary 6th grade camp. The Institution for Savings Charitable Foundation for $1,613 towards hands-on learning supplies for the Triton Regional High School. The Institution for Savings Charitable Foundation for $2,500 to help offset the cost of starting the esports team. Elsie Torres for $682.24 towards the rental of a bus for the Triton High School DECA. The Raleigh Fire Department for the donation of sealed goggles and plastic face shields for Triton High School science labs. So I want to thank everybody for their donations. The field trips tonight include Newberry Elementary 4th grade to Seacoast Science Center on June 4th, 2026. Salisbury Elementary 3rd grade to Charming Fair Farm at a future date. Triton High School to NHTI, the New Hampshire Technical Institute, at a future date. The next item is the student representative report.
Yeah, I need a
have-
motion first. I make a motion to approve the consent.
Oh,
agenda.
yeah. I apologize.
I'll second.
Can I just confirm the date on the NHTI, that high school to New Hampshire Tech Institute? It says it's today. So we got it last week. It was an opportunity that arose. I said, yes, you may go and take those students to that thing, even though it's coming before you tonight. This was I'm going to ask for your forgiveness, not your permission situation, so that the trip could happen.
Could I have the motion?
Make the motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second.
Any discussion? We have a roll call vote. Narissa,
Yes.
Erin,
Yes.
Caitlin,
Yes.
Kelly,
Yes.
Matthew?
Yeah.
Paul Goldner,
Yes.
Paul Mayette,
Yes.
and I'm a yes as well. Next item is the student representative report. We have Foster Campbell, the student representative on the school committee, will now give his report.
Hello, everybody. It has been a very busy week, so I'll keep my report nice and short. This week, we started doing our college fairs, which have been pretty informative for those who are starting, juniors, maybe sophomores, looking what they are going or what they can consider for college experiences and colleges. My class, class 2027 is beginning to start fundraisers, and we're looking to prove fundraisers on bringing back the cider donut fundraiser. I'm not sure if anybody remembers that, but is where we get Cider Hill to help us sell some to the school and those who pre-order it. And we're also thinking about bringing back the we're going to take over the volleyball tournament this year, I believe. For Spirit Week, we are looking into purchasing a speaker system, so in the future we can skip out on prices for hiring a DJ and such, and the same idea for the photo booth. And we are also starting to look into potentially getting or renting a food truck to hopefully bring in more people to the dance. Also, other classes are starting to select their themes, which is quite important for Spirit Week. And that's all I have really at the moment. Does anyone have any questions?
Thank you, Foster. Does anybody have any questions for Foster?
No, but keep us informed about those cider donuts.
Will do.
Best day ever.
The next
Maybe I'll
item,
become Donut Jesus.
the next item is new business. Would any members like to raise new business for a future agenda item? The next item is a DCC meeting update. The District Communications Committee met September 11th. This was primarily an update on the start of school and the building committee's work, plus a discussion on expectations for the November school finance presentation. We canceled the October meeting because the September one gave them all the information, so there wasn't any new information to provide to them in October. And I always want to make sure that we're utilizing everybody's time efficiently. So if we don't have big updates, then we want to make sure that we're not calling everybody together. The next meeting will be November 6th, which that will be a school finance presentation, and it will be in Salisbury at the Salisbury Library. The next item is the middle school, high school project update. The superintendent and building committee chair, Matthew Landers, will provide an update on the building project.
Take it away, Brian. You got it.
So not a lot to report. Again, have this just now on your agenda as a standing item. So the only thing to report, we did have a brief meeting with the building committee last month that we are, Rich Poor as our director of finance and also our procurement officer issued the request for services, the RFS. It went into the central register last week. It became available on October, I think it became, I forget the date, end of last week. The actual RFS became, maybe it was October 1st, it became available to request the proposals or the request the actual RFS. And so we have had several. Rich has the current tally, but at least a dozen, I believe, at this point. Firms have requested the actual RFS to see if they'll propose. On Tuesday, we have a walkthrough. I don't have the timeline in front of me, but I believe on the 28th of October is when they're due. And so then there is a subcommittee from our building committee that includes, see if I can get this, it includes Rich and John from our office. It includes Narissa. It includes Mike Colburn. It includes Jim Kolb, who's the vice chair of the building committee and also is a OPM by profession. And
Peter.
Pete Secondiani, right? I think it was Peter Secondiani, not Peter Abram. So it's a group of 6. I will be part of the process, depending on whether I can make every single one, whether or not I become a voting member. But that small group will do a virtual on their own, get the packets and do the winnowing down to a list of finalists. Bring a group of finalists, probably top 5, we'll see, in for interviews, and then go through the grueling process of interviews and following up, and then bringing a recommendation, negotiating and bringing a recommendation back to the building committee. We are slated to have that whole process done before Thanksgiving, to submit our recommendation to the MSBA. And if we get it to them before Thanksgiving, that puts us on the docket for the January 5th OPM review panel, which is where we would expect they would approve. They're involved in the process all along. Execute a contract the week after that, and then move on to with the OPM, then literally taking the reins, move on to the designer selection process. And we'd be slated to go to I believe, April 9th. Similar process, about 3 months, submit or issue the request for proposals, do the review process, make a recommendation, MSBA approves it. And then hopefully by mid-April, we have our design team intact. And then we quietly, without any more fanfare, there's no more votes of the MSBA, we officially move into module 3, which is the start of the feasibility study. So the other work that's been done is the visiting work. We had a great group, perfect mix of elementary, middle, and high school parents, middle and high school students, 6th grade, middle and high school educators was the bulk of the group, as well as administrators from across the district worked with MLP, integrated design, about 45 of us, and spent the day on September 30th, digging into all aspects of the kind of the theory of what we're looking for in a building, not the design, but the educational space, the learning space, the gathering space. And so some other work is done to pull together a lot of that work. That was the focus of my video, I think, last week. And then coming again for a full day next Wednesday. Gosh, next Wednesday is the 15th of October already, for a day 2 of that. And so we'll continue then as a smaller group that will continue to tease that work out and be able to hand our OPM a fairly well formulated educational vision before designers get their hands on it and start making design decisions that don't make good educational sense. So I think that's it at this point.
Any questions?
And can I say one more time, because I feel like this is the one thing that we keep saying, we should keep repeating. We expect that we'd be coming for a vote in 2028 and the building would be done by 2031. So whether you're a parent or a taxpayer, those two dates matter, or a student. So just going to keep reiterating that people have a sense of the timeline of this this project.
The next item is the online meeting management system. Board Docs, the system the district is using now to manage meetings, is nearing the end of the contract. And the district had a couple of options to look at. The superintendent, Narissa, Deborah, and I have attended a couple of online demos to consider options for the future. The superintendent is going to talk about the options and explain the attached documents.
All right, so you have two proposals included. You've got Diligent Community, which is, you'll notice when you're on Board Docs, it, I don't know where, but it says a Diligent brand. So Board Docs used to exist. It was bought by Diligent. Clearly, the plan was to sunset it. Board Docs has been around. I think this version launched in like 2002. So it feels very Windows 2000. And so they actually sunsetted it this past May. They just did a horrific job of letting people know that. And so when we got a final notice, hey, let us know what you want to do, about 3 weeks before it was supposed to be shut off, we said, oh, this is the first news. So they ended up giving us another year. So our contract, whenever we had originally started, was in May. So we have a current contract for Board Docs as you use it today through May. Diligent Community is their new version of Board Docs. And then there's a new company called Boardable. So Deborah and I have not done a lot of review on this. This was actually Nicole prior to Deborah. When we got this news, had started to look at other options. So actually Nicole sat through a bunch of demos, a lot of board management that are designed for private boards, trustees, corporate boards that don't have a public need to be posting, to have a public presence. So Boardable is one that is big in the private school space. They, when we reached out to them about a year ago, about 7, 8, 9 months ago, they said, no, we don't do that, but hey, we want to learn more. And so they have spent quite a bit of time and investment realizing that there's a huge market for people that were on Board Docs to move over. And so they, I would say in summary, the one thing we kept talking about was we want simple, right? What you need as a system is the ability for us legally to post a meeting publicly and be able to say when it was posted and have a legal paper trail, audit trail of when something was publicly posted. And then we want it to be really easy for the users, you as board members, as committee members, users, as well as the public to get in and get documents. So the one thing we kept talking about is, I'm looking at it on my other screen, right? You've got the agenda on the left, and then when you click on agenda items, it gives you the documents on the right. Diligent Community actually does away with that. So one of the best features of Board Docs is not being replicated. So I'll stop talking other than to say Diligent Community, you can see the price is $12,000. For what we need, it would be package B. That gives us all the different various boards. It's called a committee manager with a number of committees. So it would be $12,325. If we wanted their live stream packages, they're embedded. We don't, we use YouTube. The comparable is the Boardable proposal, which is at $82. So it's about $4,000 a year cheaper. I don't want to speak for Narissa and Linda, but or Deborah, but you know, following our demo, it was not even didn't even feel like it was in the same category. That Boardable was 50% cheaper and at least 50%, if not 100% better. So that would be, you don't need to approve anything. This is system you use. And so I certainly wanted you all to have a say before we go and make a change. But the plan is, Boardable has said if we want to make sure we have it up at least by March so that we can say we have a couple months to use it in tandem. But they said if we start the contract for April 1st or March 1st, they would give us, we would just do a prorated, it's $687 a month. So for the 4 months, it'd be $2,700. We've already paid for board docs. But this gives us the ability, they said it would officially go live on March 1st, but they would let us get into the system now. So as soon as we sign a contract, they would say, fine, we'll start migrating data. They'll pull all of the prior meetings, agendas and minutes over, and they'll get that all set up for us now, and we don't have to pay until March. We don't, not just delay, but we don't have to pay a prorated amount until effective in the month of March. So that certainly, they've been very reasonable. And that $2,700, we certainly can work into the budget to make sure that when you can all practice, right? So we can all say, all right, we still have board docs there, but we have Boardable up and live and use that. And then when it will go dark in May, and then we're then comfortable on the new system. So I don't know if that's a pitch, a proposal, an explanation, or just information sharing.
Does anybody have any questions or concerns about?
I just have one question. I know that one of the big pieces of moving over to board docs was the hosting of all the policies. Does that both cover that as well?
Yes, sorry, that was the other thing I was going to mention. So that's, if you look at the Boardable, it talks about up top is the enhanced governance with digital efficiency, right? So it even allows us, it's more of a total package. So policies, what do they call it? They called them, there was some other governance docs or something like that. So they, trustees and corporate boards have different titles, but yeah, so our policy manual will be there. Very searchable. I think perhaps a little more user-friendly. I think one of the things we had talked about wanting was to be able to be editing a policy, right? So if we're looking at policy file AA in section A, we would love to be able to be editing file A in the background while the current A is visible publicly. And then when we say, okay, you've gone through the process, file A is published fully edited, then say, okay, publish, and it overwrites. They still don't do that. Board Docs doesn't either. So that was a dream. Neither of them pulled that off. But it, in essence, does basically what Board Docs does now. And I think I think Narissa and Linda could say, right, it's a lot cleaner interface. So yes, all policies will be there.
I was gonna say, I think both the policy and the meeting interface is actually closer to what we have now with some kind of strategic improvements than what the new diligence system is, which is kind of crazy because they own them both.
Yeah, it was actually confusing when they were demoing and all of some of the current things we have now, we wouldn't have access to, and that just wasn't acceptable for us. We wanted it as close to what we currently have as possible, because it's with ease that you're able to look at things.
Mhm.
Does anybody else have any questions or concerns? Okay,
From what I saw, I think, I'm totally fine with Brian signing off on that contract.
yeah.
Hearing literally nothing else, I will proceed accordingly.
Yeah, and I think what's good is it allows the school committee members to view it before it goes live as well. The next item is the cell phone policy discussion. At our last meeting, Tom Ayat asked the committee to potentially schedule a discussion on a previously mentioned spring cell phone pilot at the high school. Since we are limited in how much we can discuss as new business, I wanted to give Paul a chance to elaborate on his request, and then the superintendent a chance to provide some additional background.
So I guess as far as that request go, as far as the reason for my request, is my very stringent opposition to a bell-to-bell cell phone ban. I will, and in the keeping with the spirit of this meeting being remote, I will try to keep this quick, but I did feel it was important to kind of write down some of my reasons for that, because it's quite possibly the thing that I have been most opposed to in my time on this committee. For a number of reasons. The first being that from what we're hearing, the current policy seems to be working. And that when you've got something that's working and you go to make it more stringent, the chances of kind of overturning the apple cart and taking some people who might be proponents of it and turning them into people who are against it is very real. And I know that because that would be me right there. As far as my other reasons go, I'll start with one that's not really the biggest, but it is a consideration because we mentioned Ipswich's policy is time on learning. I think you mentioned Ipswich going back to a homeroom at the end of the day to collect phones. I'm fully aware of how difficult it is to make a schedule. I've done it. It's trying to keep within that law, and the number of minutes for time on learning is difficult. As it is right now, in order to manage that, we've got 3 minutes of passing time, which is not just passing time, it's decompression time between classes. And we've got lunch periods that are short enough that some kids who are at the end of the line are shoveling food in very quickly. It may just be a matter of 5 minutes of going back to homeroom. I would rather see those 5 minutes applied to lunch or classes or any other place, basically, except for an unnecessary extra thing that we're adding into the day. My second reason is really coming down to the fact that it is once again a societal issue that schools are being asked to fix. And that just happens over and over and over. We don't have the resources to save the world. And we're not going to. All we can do is give students an opportunity to learn how to manage those better. If we ban it outright, we're not teaching them how to manage it. We're just banning things. What we have in place right now is a practical solution that students can take home. They can go and put their phone someplace else. They can do that. I understand that, sure, if they have no access during the day, it might be easier for teachers. Frankly, when a teacher is willing to work on the policy from day one, it can work. I've done it. I did it as a teacher. I saw it literally this morning. I was in a classroom as the bell rang, watch the kids come in, take their phones, put them in a box, sit down, not a piece of instruction. I would argue that, we have a responsibility to help the teachers who are doing that well, and to raise the expectations for teachers who are struggling with that and give them the support they need to get there. I'd also argue that we're having this conversation because a cell phone is kind of a convenient scapegoat for some other trends. I've been in education 25 years. This is my 25th year. And I've seen the changes. I used to be able to assign 2 or 3 chapters of homework and expect that those kids would come in and have read it. And that changed well before the pandemic. And I don't disagree that cell phones might play a role there. But in that same 25-year period, we've seen lots of other changes as well. We've seen the rise of club sports. We've seen college admissions become significantly more competitive, so that students are pushing themselves into club after club after club after club. We've seen all sorts of other problems that are coming up. And we've seen a massive shift in wealth away from the poorest people, thus meaning that some students are needing to work after school. Those are all reasons why we're seeing some of the same anxieties, some of the same stresses, some of the same academic slips. And the things that we're banning are not we're certainly not focusing on academics. We're not focusing on sleep. We're not really focusing on mental health. And I'm talking about education broadly, because I've seen this in a number of schools. We've literally seen a movement towards assigning less homework without a simple whisper of like, maybe practices could be shorter too. It's been just going after the wrong things. I think they're a convenient, politically popular scapegoat, but I think it's a piece of the picture. And I don't think we should be going after one small piece of the picture. And then finally, this goes to what I've said before. There are just too many threats today. There are too many threats out there for me to feel comfortable with this. And somebody will say the chances of a shooting happening in a particular school are slim. I would agree with that, but the chance that it will happen and happen multiple times is 100%. There have been 118 incidents of guns fired on school grounds in 2025 thus far. And you don't even need a shooting to create chaos. There are swattings, lockdowns if there's something going on in the general area, lockdowns on suspicion of a gun in the building. And that's not hyperbole. I've lived through every single one of those things. I was tasked with creating a video for training for these types of purposes. I have spent countless hours with the North Andover Police Department sitting down, gaming out scenarios, using all of my, English degree expertise on, this type of stuff. Best practices could mean a lot of different things in a lot of situations. There are literally dozens of different possibilities for the way something could play out. Locking down, barricading, evacuating, running into the woods. In any of these, communication is going to be paramount. Teachers need to contact the school if they've left and evacuated somewhere. People trapped in the building will need to be able to alert 911. Administration might need to be able to contact students who've evacuated on their own, and kids will need to contact their parents. The better the communication in an incident, the less chaotic the aftermath is going to be. And until our country recovers from the absolute sickness that is driving all of this, I will never support banning a tool that helps us manage it. Not as a teacher, not as an administrator, not as a school committee member, not as a parent. So I would respectfully ask that we request that we continue with the plan that's in place and abandon the move to go to a full day bell-to-bell piece.
I would have to agree with Mr. Mayette on a good amount of those points, as right now, like before the phone policy went in place, I knew it might be a struggle for most students to be able to voluntarily put up their phone. I'm unsure of if it'll still be voluntary to give away their phone for the entire day. As again, like some parents do have those concerns of violence in the school, and although it's highly unlikely, it provides a peace of mind that is is very valuable. Also, the idea that it can be a social issue, as in it can be taking up too much time, I would have to agree. I mean, I am someone who, I could, it would help me I could benefit by using my phone less, but I definitely know taking it away in school isn't going to be the main way to solve the problem, because addiction to phones runs runs more than just in school, like such as Instagram. Those ask me very addicting and such. And yeah, sorry, that's about all I have to say on that.
Thank you, Foster. Brian, did you want to share?
Can I also add something to Paul's list?
Sure.
I would actually, if we are gonna have the discussion again, I would like to hear a little bit of feedback from the teachers as well, to see whether or not it's hindered any of the activities in their classroom, because I know in the past in some of the science classes, they would record themselves doing experiments where the phone could see the stopwatch and the experiment at the same time. So the one they're making observations later, they can actually go back and look at the video multiple times to be able to see anything that they might have missed the first time around and utilize that as a tool. And I know that there are some other classes that potentially were using the phones for academic purposes, and whether or not they've been able to adjust to the new policy and figure out a different way to be able to achieve the same learning that they were utilizing the phones for. So I would like to get a little more information on what the impact is in the classroom itself.
Can I ask for clarification? Because I thought some of that was up to the teachers, from what I understand from my daughters. Am I correct that some of the teachers, am I correct, Brian, that it's a little bit up to their discretion how it's, if it's utilized in class, or am I not understanding that correctly?
Yeah, so the default is, as Foster can attest, or your daughter.
Yeah, that it's
right?
checked in, but I thought if
Yep.
it was
If it's for an
something to be-
educational purpose.
Yeah, so I thought that was still available at teacher discretion. I know we might, this update might be taking that away totally, but I thought at this time that there was some teacher discretion that allowed them to still utilize, let's say, what Aaron is talking about. But I'm asking for clarification on that.
Yeah, that is correct. So it is bell to bell, period, right? So it's at the beginning of the period, the students come in, check it in the pocket, locks away in the closet. It's there until the end of the period. If a teacher says, you know what, I need devices in students' hands, we're in a science class and I've got probes that we can plug in and use them, or, be able to do whatever. So yeah, that is available to them. I don't know the frequency of how often that is the case that is being utilized. I guess I would say I apologize if it wasn't clear when I brought this to was it the August meeting? The August meeting with the new handbook language to try what we're currently doing. There was never an intention, right? So this I brought it to in handbook language because that's policy. You approve that has the force of policy behind it. What I intended to share, and I thought I shared, was that it may not have clearly, is that Patrick Kelly, the principal, wants to work with the school council, including students, parents, and teachers, to review a process and engage the community around this. So it would include gathering information from students, to Foster's point, from parents, from educators, in that it would be the school council, bad pun, driving that bus, and then come back to you, not do anything without changing any other model language, come back to you if they decided, Patrick had talked about, I think it'd be great to pilot that and see what that looks like for 3 months in the second half of the year. So that we can say, this is kind of the baseline for this year, call it a pilot, and then try a full bell to bell, which is what Paul referenced, which is, right, you go to a homeroom, they get locked away at 7:42 a.m. and they get handed back at 2:13 p.m. None of that would happen without a proposal coming back to you. And that would be after a process, I'll call it, that would be conducted through the school council, which would include feedback from teachers, parents, and students. And that may not be the case, right? The school council may conduct that process and decide, no, that's not even worth studying. But that was kind of the thinking I was intending to share, that nothing, to Paul's point, I hear that and understand that or your passion on that. And nothing is going to come, it would be coming back to you for a proposal, both to pilot it, and then if that were the case, then a decision at the end of the year about what the policy would be moving forward. But nothing would be done without a proposal coming back to you to explain what the changes would be.
So if I'm hearing you correctly, Brian, Patrick is doing this in the at the beginning of each class and at the end of each class, the student takes it away. And then doing a more stringent pilot of this particular cell phone. And then at the end of the year, seeing parents and students what they thought of whichever demo that you guys, or whichever pilot that you guys did that they preferred.
Yeah, I guess the only friendly amendment I would offer is I don't even know that next pilot, which would be
Mhm.
the full 742 to 213 true bell to bell, will even happen.
Okay.
Because Patrick wanted to take that with the school council to talk about that with the community. And right, there is a path, I guess, where the school council, teachers, parents, students, administration all says, you know what, this really works. We really like what exists now. And don't feel the need, maybe get feedback from the community on that. But Patrick wanted to, I know Newburyport went through a similar process and engaged the community in this discussion, that it wasn't just the principal making a proposal or the school committee making a decision. It was the school committee engaging, and everyone had a chance to have their voice heard. So that is his intention to do this year. He's a little bit delayed because he just got placed on a federal grand jury that starts next Tuesday. So we're going to have a interim principal at the high school. Might be me, we'll see. So, but yes, that is the intention to decide what comes next.
I have a question. I heard something about it being a federal bill at the moment to ban phones, like over all districts. Is that like the bell to bell, like start of the day to the end of the day, like we were discussing?
So it's a state bill, so it's not federal, but it is in the Commonwealth. It's depending on the day, whether people think it's absolutely going to happen or there's no chance it's going to happen. The bill as it exists in the current form would allow what we had last year. It would allow what we have currently in place, or it recommends a full bell to bell. But what we're doing now at the high school, from my latest read of my read of the latest version, would still fit with that. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Good question, Foster.
Does anybody have any other questions or comments?
So I guess I would just say to you, I'll keep you updated, right? So as Patrick goes through this process and the school council, if the school council ultimately says, you know what, we're good, we don't want to engage in that, then it's not coming back to you this year. My guess would be, if it is, we're talking probably like a January timeframe, and maybe we would use like a February, March, April to try it out, for that other pilot, or maybe the pilot's something different, right? That was just kind of what we thought about when I was talking to Patrick about it, that the only other thing to test is that full, as Paul mentioned, that full true bell to bell. So.
The next item is the superintendent's report. The superintendent will now give his report.
I have, the superintendent has too many tabs open. Sorry. His report is here. So quickly, one thing to report. So we, in this month of celebrating our community, we are now, and this was in the weekly newsletter, the weekly scoop last week, that any seniors, there's only 3 events, right? It's basketball, hockey, and football, where we're charging ticketed events, but that we're going to invite any members of our senior community who live in the town of Newbury, Rowley, Salisbury, to attend those events for free. I don't have a number yet of, I don't know that we'll have a real good data point, because it's about flashing an ID that has the right address and the right date of birth. So I don't know that we'll have good hard data about how much is being taken, but there was actually a member of the community who lives surrounding the school and actually called me, Willard, and just said, you know what, I would love to come to games. I hear the fun. And he said, I just can't pay that. And I said, you know what, Willard, great idea. So happy to celebrate that, especially during Community Month. Just a quick update, the Pine Grove and SES projects I had shared with you recently or previously, that there was some HVAC issues at Salisbury. Those have been fixed. Around $20,000, the town of Salisbury paid for that. a much bigger multi-million-dollar fixes in the works for both a new roof and new HVAC upgrades, controls, everything. That's a process we're working with Neil and Lisa Pearson, the town planner, on for a long-term fix there. Pine Grove has been a little bit more all over the place. It is a septic issue, and it has ebbed and flowed about this is a problem that's gone on, and there's been some discussion about where the issue lies. There's definitely some installation issues that date back to the original installer. Had a lot of meetings with the town of Rowley about, are we at fault, or is it the original installer in fault? What cost should we be incurring versus the town? So the town, outside of routine maintenance costs, pumping down of the system, the town has committed to or physically spent about $65,000. And that is new alarm systems, pumps, all kinds of sensors and sensor cleaners. But now this system is set so that our folks can maintain it and maintain it properly. And so that is not completely done yet, but just about done. And so for both of those projects, those were town expenses. Just to note, I think I'd emailed you as well that the normal presentation that we'd be doing tonight, which is why we're doing in Zoom, because it's a quick meeting tonight, we're kicking out to November. We had a little bit of a delay, thanks to AI, scoring open responses of the MCAS. There was also supposed to be a parent portal this year. It's opening, and at the last minute, they killed that idea, and there's no parent portal this year. So there was some slowness with the data. So Anna's working on a different approach to sharing data now that we have vocal data, we have SQM data, we have iReady data, K through 8, 3 through 8, and then MCAS data. Gonna frame the presentation a little differently, kind of more of a comprehensive, using multiple data points to share both the district perspective and by school. So we'll be doing that in November. Recognizing our performance on MCAS. So we are one of 63 districts across the state that have exceeded as a district grade 3 through 8, our mathematics scores. We did not do that in ELA. The state didn't recognize it, but we did also do that in science. So again, that's in the aggregate 3 through 8. That does not mean there aren't areas of need and concern. And so certainly we'll address those in the presentation in November, but I was invited down and I have not been shy about my opinion about MCAS. But I think also when you have that kind of improvement, it's worth celebrating because it is an indicator. In this week, my weekly Scoop with the Soup is celebrating Math Talks in the 6th grade over at Salisbury Elementary, where the Salisbury Elementary as a school had the highest growth out of any school across the district. And so certainly some things to celebrate there. So, and then last month, I had a follow-up conversation at the end of the meeting. Caitlin and I had a discussion around, I don't remember if it was part of the meeting or after the meeting, around my use of the word accidental when we were talking about the Chromebook fees. And I don't know if it was a late night, but my brain was thinking differently. So I was using the word accidental. If there is damage to a Chromebook and it's accidental, but it was caused by the student or the family, they are responsible for that payment. It's if it was outside the control. And I think Caitlin had given the example of, putting it on improperly on the desk, leaning against a book. If it falls off, that was accidental, but it could have been prevented if we didn't do that. So just to correct that, that message has been sent out to families. We are going to bill them. The question was around a judgment call about was it on purpose or not. It's just, if it was outside of the student's control, then we're not charging the family. If it was accidental on purpose or not, if it was accidental, then that is a fee we're going to assess. And obviously, as situations arise, there are nuances that would cause us to make a decision either way. But as a general rule, that's the way it rolled out. So that information is now out there and shared out with families. That's it. That's my report. Personnel reports there if you have any questions.
Does anybody have any questions for Brian on his report?
I should just say on the personal report, as I just scrolled through, Julie Maxada, who is the ALPS teacher at Newbury Elementary, that program we have worked with those families because we cannot find a teacher. Julie was there for a year. The prior teacher was there for several years and now moved into a classroom, a general ed classroom. So we've worked with the families and are actually moving those students in to be supported academically by general special education teachers and bringing a certified nursing assistant in to do the medical components that that make that program more of a challenge with equipment and such. So just so that you have a sense of that, it has been, right, it's been a challenge to figure that out, but that is a for the staff, for the IAs, super flexible. I appreciate their persistence and helping find a solution for this because it's been challenging. But just when you see that on the report, want to make sure that you're clear about that.
Thank you for that clarification, Brian. Can I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to receive and file the personnel report. Oh, sorry, the superintendent's report for October 2025.
I'll second.
Any discussion? We'll have a roll call vote. Narissa,
Yes.
Paul Goldner,
Yes. Yes.
Paul Mayette,
Yes.
Caitlin,
Yes.
Aaron,
Yes.
Matthew,
Was that his dogs answering for him? I think it was a yes.
and I'm a yes as well.
And I am too. You forgot me.
Oh, I'm sorry, Kelly. You were behind my cursor. The next item is the 2025 MASC delegate nomination. Massachusetts Association of School Committees always has a delegate conference at the annual convention in November. The MASC officer nominations and proposed resolutions are attached to the agenda. We need to discuss who will represent the committee at the delegate assembly and to provide information to our delegate on the proposed officer slate and resolutions. Myself and Narissa will be going down to MASC November 6th and 7th, I believe, are the dates. And Narissa will be receiving her award from MASC, which I'm very happy to keep reiterating that because it's well deserved. Because it's the two of us, I vote Narissa. No, I'm just kidding.
I was just gonna say that feels like the lead up where you're about to throw me under the bus.
Second.
Well, the thing is we have to nominate somebody and then a backup, so it's pretty much the both of us. So one of us can be the voting and another one can be the non-voting and both of us have attend. So I nominate Narissa.
That was coming.
She's gonna be there anyways.
So are you?
As the
I'll
last person
second.
to go through this, I'll tell you, it's a hootenanny.
Yeah, I mean, since,
Boot and nanny. I haven't heard that word in a while.
but if Narissa does not want to be the official voting delegate, I will be.
We'll both be there, so I don't really care. Honestly.
So I think we should vote both of us.
We have to put somebody in on paperwork. That's the main reason we have to do it now is because it's due by like
Yes.
October 14th, I think.
That is true. So can I have a motion to vote myself as the voting delegate and Narissa as the nominating, as the
Alternate.
backup?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Roll call vote. Narissa,
Yes.
Erin,
Yes.
Kelly,
Yes.
Caitlin,
Yes.
Paul Goldner,
Yes.
Paul Mayette,
Sure, why not?
Matthew,
Yes.
And I'm a yes as well. The next item is the subcommittee reports.
there any-
Policy,
Is there any guidance first?
oh, that's right, I'm sorry.
Yeah, we need to know how the committee wants us to vote.
Is there any guidance from the committee that you feel strongly on one of the items that we're gonna be voting on?
I'll say I don't feel strongly about them, any of them, but I also don't object to any of them or any particular language in any
Right.
of them. So there's been ones that have directly involved us in the past. I think the closest it gets this year is the regional school district assessment, whatever it's called, reserve fund. But even that's on, it's something to advocate for the municipalities. I'm not sure that ours would use it, just based on, like they're usually just trying to meet their operating budgets every year. But I think that's the closest it comes. But even that is not anything I'd describe as close to pivotal.
Yeah,
I would say certainly, imagine I speak for most everyone that I trust both of your judgments and yeah.
thanks, Paul. Anyone else? Okay. The next item is the subcommittee reports. Policy and advocacy, Erin?
So we met tonight. We walked through the second version of the MASC policy changes that will be presented to the committee next meeting in November. We also talked about the reaching out to get some bids and some information on setting up a communication platform or I'm not going to call it a policy. It's because it's not a policy, a program for us to be able to communicate to the district better and share information that's going on with the schools, as well as any of the projects that we're working on, so that we can start advocating for the school and the community and making sure that the community members do feel involved and educated on what goes on in our school systems. Additionally, we talked about what the student of the month transition is going to look like. And we have a plan set forth where there's been 5 months identified where we're going to have a student, one from identified, and we're going to highlight one particular school for each of those months so that we can make sure that we're being conscious of people's time, as well as still being able to highlight and focus on the good work that's being done in the schools. And the categories are going to focus on the portrait of a learner categories that we had shared with everybody previously, and going to have the school that's coming in that month talk a little bit about how their school is seeing this piece of the portrait of a learner being enacted in their school and how they see their students and staff supporting that. So we will start with that in October, and we'll have a schedule where the middle school will be coming first in October, and then subsequently each additional school will be assigned a particular month and topic to highlight. Our next meeting, we don't have a date for it yet because we are trying to look to get some of the proposals into us so that we can get some presentations going to be able to work on that communication piece. So we will be able to share with that when we are able to determine availability.
Thank you, Erin. Personnel and negotiations, Matthew?
We met on the 29th, and we're meeting again on Wednesday, working on the contract.
Thank you. Finance, Paul Mayette?
Our last meeting, I don't have my calendar up, sorry, I'm used to this, but nothing significant to report. things are where they should be at this point. Our next meeting is on the 23rd.
Thank you, Paul. Facilities, Matthew? I don't think facilities has met. So I will answer that for Matthew. I want to thank you all for your time.
No meeting.
Thanks, Matthew. I want to thank you for all of your time and thanks, Foster, for being here. Could I have a motion to adjourn the meeting, please?
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
Second?
Any discussion? We'll have a roll call vote. Erin,
Yes.
Narissa,
Yes.
Caitlin,
Yes.
Kelly,
Yes.
Matthew,
Yes.
Paul Mayette,
Yes.
Paul Goldner.
Yes.
I'm a yes as well. Just a reminder that November 6th in Salisbury, at the Salisbury Library is when we're gonna have the school finance and DCC meeting there. So if you're able to make it, please come. And I wanna say have a nice night to all of you.
Take care,
Thank you.
everyone.
Nice,
Thank
have a
you.
nice evening.
Good night.
Good night, everybody.